So, hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Georgia. I run the marketing department at Smart PA HQ. And today we are talking all about marketing and messaging and all your channels during coronavirus. So, it's obviously a very difficult time for businesses. And I want to start by saying, if your business is still running, if you're still managed to market, you're still engaging with prospects, you've still got, inquiries coming in, then congratulations. This is a very difficult time. No one in living memory has ever experienced anything like this. And if anyone is sitting around saying that they've got all the answers and they know exactly how to run a business and how to market during an epidemic and a pandemic like this, then they're lying to you. So well done for surviving and keeping going and keeping positive and joining us today to come up with some more ideas and more suggestions on how to market successfully during coronavirus. So I'm going to run you through a couple of tips, a couple of suggestions on how to nurture your audience, how to use social media, how to look at your brand purpose, and just give you a couple of suggestions on how to make sure that your business is surviving and that you are marketing as effectively as possible during a rather big crisis. So the first tip is all about social media and it's about tone. So tip one is be positive, but be aware. Don't be tone deaf on social media. So it's okay to share positivity. It's okay to share messages of hope. And it is okay to be doing well during a time like this. There are plenty of industries who are thriving: supermarkets, industry, manufacturing, healthcare, for better or worse reasons, there are businesses that are doing well at times like this, and that's okay. But you have to be aware that these times are difficult for people. There are people who are losing livelihoods, losing income. There are businesses who are not going to survive this. So you can absolutely be positive. You can absolutely embrace your success and share that you are helping as many people, as many customers, as many prospects as possible. You can lead by example. You can inspire other people to keep going and keep trying. But be aware. Don't shout about how great life is for you and how many sales that you've made, because there are people out there who aren't making any sales and who are struggling. So positivity is good, but don't be tone deaf. Tip two is about brand purpose. So most brands will have some kind of vision, they'll have some kind of mission, they'll be talking about their why, why do they get out of bed in the morning, why did they found this business, why do they do what they do. Times like this, there is a lot of need for humanity, there's a lot of need for help. So it's really important even, that you are clear with your brand purpose. So if your business is changing, so if you make alcoholic drinks and then you've actually changed to making hand sanitizer, or you're a fashion brand that is now changing to making PPE and other kind of scrubs and medical equipment and face masks, then that's fantastic. And you should really shout about that. Shout about how your brand purpose has veered slightly into the helping other people. Or if you haven't changed your service, but your service is helping people, or you are, you're protecting jobs, be really clear about that. Shout about how you have a really clear purpose during this pandemic. We at Smart PA are trying to protect as many jobs as possible. That's really important to us for both our clients and any business in the world. Obviously, the government is offering great schemes to support jobs and try and save as many jobs as possible, and that's a really clear shared purpose with us. And it doesn't really matter, if you're making PPE or if you're just trying to help one person at a time, or you're donating some spare time to charities or phone lines or whatever it may be. Just be really clear in your purpose. How are you trying to help? What small difference are you making? Because make no mistake about it, everybody at the moment is making a difference. Everyone is doing some good somewhere, even if it's just for one person. Everyone is helping somebody. So just be really clear on that, and that's great. That adds to the positivity, and it's really, really important to show our humanity at times like this. So that's tip two. Tip three is not going to be for everyone. Tip three is, if you can, now is the time to invest in paid advertising. We've all heard the phrase speculate to accumulate, and that is relevant at the moment. It may seem counterintuitive to be spending while people are trying to save money and you've got less cash in the bank, but paid options will suddenly become cheaper. Unfortunately, if you look at something like PPC or Google advertising, as competitors are dropping out, your bids will get cheaper. So this could be quite a good time to pick up some better value advertising. And people are still looking for your brand. People are still looking, people are still spending, people are still looking to grow businesses. If you're B2B or B2C, there's still a market out there for you. It may have shrunk, but it still exists. So you can do, maybe smaller budget advertising on social media, or look at other alternative ways to pay for advertising. But it may be an avenue for you to explore. Even if you can only put a tiny little bit of budget into it, the returns could be huge, and it could really help you stand out in your market, especially if other competitors are kind of tightening their budget. Now's the time for you to be brave. But as always, with any paid advertising, make sure you do your research. Potentially consult an expert or an agency or another supplier or support that can kind of advise you on best spend and best targeting. Now is a great time to be doing targeted advertising. So if you know that you have, say you're a B2B company and you know that a certain industry that sits in your target profile is doing really well at the moment, then try advertising to them specifically. You'll know that they've got money to spend, and you're not wasting money advertising to companies like hospitality, who unfortunately are not in business at the moment. Tip 3, or are we on number 4? Tip 4. Data capture now and then upsell later. So this is really important. Data is a really, really valuable asset for any business, whether you're B2B or B2C. Having email addresses and phone numbers and people who are interested in your services is a really valuable commodity right now. You might not be able to sell them this instance, but even getting that email address or that phone number, or them downloading a resource, it shows that they are still interested in your brand, and that therefore means that they can be leveraged further down the line, whether it's free resources or free training, online events, really offering them something valuable. So like we're offering you this webinar today, any kind of pearls of wisdom, any downloadable resources, anything that you think you can do to help them, offer it up for free. That's a really good gesture. It's a show of faith in your audience. It shows that you're willing to help, and in turn they'll give you their data. They may not be ready to buy now, but they might be ready to buy in a week or a month or 6 months. But that data is really valuable. You can email market to them, you can really show the value of your services, and then you've got time to really nurture that relationship. So just because they aren't going to be a sale now doesn't mean they're not a valuable asset to your business. So try data capture, share some free resources, share some free intelligence, and really grow your database, grow your audience, grow your tribe. Then you've got a really nurtured community who knew that you stuck by them during a really tough time, and that's really valuable. Next tip is reviewing your content strategy. So every business will do this differently, but you will have an idea of the next month, 3 months, 6 months, even 12 months of content and messaging that you are going to be sharing via email, via social media, through all on your website, through all your digital platforms. Now we plan in advance. Obviously, we were personally as Smart PA run it 6 months in advance. So obviously a lot of our messaging that was due to go out this month, last month, and the next few months becomes a little bit irrelevant. So you need to review your content strategy. You need to look at the topics you're talking about. You need to look at the positioning. You might have had a blog, but it needs tweaking to become relevant to the current virus. You might be looking at release dates. You might look at bringing some things forward and pushing some things back. You can't operate a business in a vacuum. You can't market a business in a vacuum. Every single piece of messaging that you put out, every piece of content needs to be made relevant. The service might not change, the key benefits might not change, but you need to explain how is your service or product now viable? How can they get to it with no face-to-face meetings? Can a service be conducted digitally? Can they have something delivered online rather than picking it up in store? Your key messages and your key content may stay the same, but you need to review the strategy, the release date, and the positioning. Things like imagery. If you were going to have a lot of imagery of people in offices, people in shopping centres, people in parks, that needs tweaking. People are going to look at these pictures and think, well, that's not relevant. This has been done. This isn't consistent with the times that we live in. So consider adapting imagery to home-based working or home-based online shopping. You need to make these connections for your customers. Don't make them try and work out how your service is applicable, how they can buy your product. You need to make the connections for them. You need to make it as easy and as clear as possible on how they can still engage with you. So get reviewing that content calendar. Next tip is all about customer profiles. So, hopefully, your business has a clear idea of who your target audience is. Maybe it's 3, 4, or 5 key profiles based on buying behaviors, size of business, interaction, touch points, pain points, different questions, different solutions, whatever it may be. Now is the time to have a look at those different profiles. So if you've made these, you will know who these people are. If you're selling to them on a regular basis, you will know inside out what they need, what their questions are. So now is the time to be thinking about how those profiles might have changed. If you have a certain pain point, is that pain point still relevant? If one of the pain points is they can't make it into your stores, well, that's not a pain point anymore because no one's going into your stores. So what's the problem now? Are people struggling with technology? Maybe your customer base is slightly older demographic and they're not as technologically savvy. Can you help them with some handy guides on, how to access your product online? You just need to make sure that your analysis and your data on those profiles is made relevant. So it's time to dust them off and reevaluate the issues that they have, the reasons that they come to you in the first place, and if there's any extra benefits now. Is there anything that's changed in your offering that you can now really use to hit a new profile potentially? There will be new buying behaviors. There will be a new buying demographic because everyone's doing things differently now. So you can't expect to still market in the same way to the same profiles. So it's time to dust them off and reevaluate. The next tip is about paying attention. So whether you have a customer service department or a general service department or a support team, or whether you have a live chat or potentially a message forum, however you communicate with your customers, reviews are another great way to track what people are thinking. You need to pay attention to this. What questions are people asking? What issues are they facing? So your service department or your customer service department here will be really, really valuable because they're on the front line. They are dealing with customer complaints, potentially, customer questions. People are phoning in for help. So what help do they need? As a marketeer, the end question is really valuable because if your customer service department is saying that they're constantly getting people phoning in because they can't find how to find things on your website, they don't understand how to use your online shopping, they don't understand, or maybe they're looking for help, mortgage payments, things like that, they're struggling to meet their bills, whatever it is, you need to know what these questions are. You need to be paying real attention to what your customers actually need from you right now, because then you can adapt, again, your content, your tone, your messaging, your products, your processes, your routes to market. Once you understand what challenges people are facing, especially at the moment, then you can work on solutions to make it easier. And the easier and the less friction involved in that buying process, the more likely your customers are to A, become recurring customers and refer you on. The more helpful you are at the moment, the more repeat customers you will get. People are going to remember how you behaved during this. So it's really important to pay attention, to listen, and to try and create as seamless a process for all your customers and all your clients as humanly possible. The last tip is adapt. Adapt, adapt, adapt. We cannot sit still at the moment. As marketeers, we cannot sit to a rigid framework. We cannot expect emails to behave the same way. We cannot expect our customers to behave in the same way. We cannot expect the same messaging to work like it did a month or 2 months ago. Everything has changed. The world has turned on its head. So it's time to be adaptable. It's time to show your resilience. If you did a lot of conferences or events, it's time to work out how to make those go virtual. If you relied on shop fronts, then it's time to work out how to turn that digital. If you were a traditional marketing business and you used print, or you were, everything was done in hard copy, then it's time to work out how to use social media. It's time, you can't be stubborn at the moment. It's time to be flexible. It's time to be open to new ideas. It's time to be open to out of the box thinking. And there's no shame in saying, I know we need to go digital, but I don't know how. Again, being positive, showing your humanity, asking for help. If you're nurturing your community, if you're nurturing your network, then they'll be willing to help you. There's always people out there who are willing to offer their services and their support to help you survive. because at the end of the day, we all want as much success as possible. No one wants to see their friends and colleagues and fellow businessmen, going out of business. We all want success out of this. We all want as many people to thrive as possible. So being open to adaptation is the most important thing. And then if you're struggling to create a new social media strategy, you're not sure about messaging, you aren't great technologically or digitally, then ask for help. There's absolutely no shame in asking for help at this time, because like I said, everybody wants as much success out of this as possible. So those are a few tips on how to market your business, and hopefully they've got some juices flowing, some creative ideas thinking, some new routes to market potentially. I think the most important thing at the moment is being patient. Be patient with your prospects, be patient with yourself, be patient with your colleagues. Yes, this has been a few months now, and everyone may be getting a little bit tired, but everyone is still finding their way, whether it's with working from home or a new way of shopping or a new way of thinking. This is a tough time for everyone at every end of the funnel, at every end of the supply chain, whether you're a buyer or a seller. This is hard times. So be patient. Eventually you will find a message that really works, or you will find a way to communicate with a new demographic, or you will work out what a really thriving industry needs from you, so you can just do exactly what it takes to grow your business, to survive, to not furlough as many jobs as possible. Whatever your goals are at the moment, just be patient with yourself. From a marketing perspective, yes, there's a lot of pressure on marketers at the moment, but there is no click button to thriving in a crisis. Otherwise, there wouldn't be such thing as a crisis. So just do your best. Pay attention to everything. Pay attention to all departments. Pay attention to all your metrics. Now is a great time to do lots of analysis. There are great companies out there providing benchmark reports and suggestions of what might be happening, but only you know your metrics. You will know how your company and your brand is performing better than any other industry average, or your fellow agency, or your fellow brand, or whatever it may be. So really pay attention. I hate talking cliches, but this is a lesson that not many of us are going to get to learn again. Hopefully this will never happen again, and this lesson won't need to be put into practice. But learning to market under such difficult circumstances is a fantastic experience, and you will become a more resilient and more resourceful marketeer. And at the other end, your customers and prospects and community will really feel the benefits of you trying your best for them. So keep going, keep your head up, you're doing great. And if you need any other advice, you can contact SmartPA or myself to hear more about how we can support you to really market successfully and hopefully come out of this stronger and even better for it. So thank you very much for joining me today, and do get in touch soon. Thank you so much.